And joining us now, Governor George Pataki. He's the former governor of New York. He's a Republican presidential candidate. Governor, thanks very much for joining us. You've heard the President of the United States, you've heard other top administration officials make the case for this Iran nuclear deal, saying it's the best the U.S. could achieve. It's going to delay any opportunity for Iran to get a nuclear weapon 10, maybe 15 years. What's wrong with giving this opportunity a chance?
You know, first of all, Wolf, this administration has an atrocious record on the Middle East. And I heard him talk about Syria and his plan this afternoon. And this is a president who addressed the American people on national television saying we needed regime change and Assad has to go. And today he's telling us how part of their plan is for Iran and Russia to play a part in the future of Syria, the two main sponsors of that evil dictator who's engaged in genocide. So then you take a look at this deal itself. What does Iran get? Iran gets enormous economic relief. It gets the ability to expand its military. It will use some of that capability to continue and expand its terrorist activities. The president actually acknowledged that this afternoon. And a nuclear program, which today is illegal under UN resolutions, becomes legal. We get an agreement of very questionable value where we have very limited ability to have confidence in the world's capability to monitor their nuclear program. And by the way, as the president said, if they walk away from it in 5 years, Iran would have already had all those benefits and they can move forward with a nuclear program. I think it's a lose-lose for the civilized world.
Well, he says the only other option, if you don't go with the diplomacy with the other permanent members of the UN Security Council and Germany, if you don't go with that, you got to go with the military option. If you were president, would you launch airstrikes to try to destroy Iran's nuclear capability?
You know, Wolf, that's what the president always does. He creates a straw man. Either we're going to have my deal or we have to have nuclear war. I don't think that's the case. I believe the sanctions were working. It was the Iranian government that was desperate for these negotiations to succeed. The ramped up sanctions didn't even start until less than 2 years ago, and they were working. And you combine that with the collapse in the price of oil from $110 to $52, and the Iranian regime was in economic and political trouble. Sadly, I fear that this agreement conveys legitimacy and allows them to continue their support for terror around the world.
The president says the sanctions really weren't working as far as the nuclear program is concerned. A few years ago, he says the Iranians had maybe 300 to 600 centrifuges. While the sanctions were in place, they went up to 19,000. They'll go down to 6,000 as part of this deal. Your reaction?
2 points. First of all, the economic sanctions were working, and the Iranian economy was really hurting, and that was before the collapse in the price of oil, which really threatened the Iranian regime. The second is exactly the point as to why this agreement is of so little value. That program was illegal under international law, and yet the Iranians simply went out and did what they wanted to do to advance a nuclear program. Now we think somehow they're going to abide by an agreement. Somehow they're going to say, well, we signed this paper, so we can't do this or we can't do that. I think the world knows better than that.
Governor Pataki, thanks very much for joining us.
Thank you, Wolf.